Imagine packing your bags for a trip, waving goodbye to your spouse, walking out the front door, and being completely oblivious to the fact that your body has already started executing its final exit protocol.
Yeah, that is an incredibly heavy thought.
Right, it really is. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a text that makes a profoundly disruptive claim. The idea is that your conscious, rational brain is actually the absolute last to know when your time on Earth is up.
Right, but your body,
Yeah,
your subconscious.
exactly. The text argues they start leaving undeniable physical clues days in advance.
It's really an ontologically disruptive idea. I mean, to the core, we like to think of our final moments as either chaotic accidents or, the logical endpoint of a known medical decline.
Yeah, something we can track or explain.
Right. But the proposition we are looking at today challenges that fundamental assumption entirely. It posits that there is a schedule dictated by an unseen power.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because whether you are someone who strictly adheres to, like, biological determinism, or maybe you lean more toward philosophical mysticism, this framework forces you to look at human behavior through a completely different, almost clinical lens.
It really does.
So our source material today is an essay titled Unclear Signs of Impending Death. It's by an author named Zhuafeng with translation editing by Kinyu. And our mission for this deep dive is to explore the mechanics of this proposed phenomenon.
And the core thesis here is really about these involuntary precursors.
Right, like what are they exactly?
Well, the author isn't talking about having a bad feeling or just a vague sense of doom. The text argues that this unseen force physically hijacks our routines and our geography to ensure that we are, well, precisely where we need to be when our schedule runs out.
And it doesn't start with massive cinematic premonitions either. The essay actually begins by grounding this huge concept in the most microscopic, mundane details of daily life. It looks at what I guess you could call a subconscious nudge.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
The first piece of evidence is a story shared by a well-known actor, Wang Ziwen, on a CCTV program. He was talking about his parents, specifically the morning his father died.
Which is a really striking anecdote.
It is. So they had this deeply ingrained, incredibly standard daily routine. Every single morning, his father would drop his mother off at a nearby market.
Which means we're talking about a behavior governed by the basal ganglia.
Oh, the autopilot part of the brain.
Exactly, yeah. When you do something hundreds or thousands of times, drop your spouse off, turn around, walk to work, your brain puts that action on autopilot to save cognitive energy. You don't think about it, you just do it.
Right, the normal pattern was entirely thoughtless. He drops her off, turns, walks away. She walks up the market stairs, never looking back, just clockwork.
Pure routine.
But on this specific Tuesday morning, the morning he would later pass away, the autopilot completely fails. The father drops her off, but instead of turning around, he stands frozen.
He just breaks the loop.
Yeah, he just stays there, gazing intensely at her, and he waves. And then the mother's autopilot fails too.
Which is the really crucial part.
Right. As she's walking up the stairs, she involuntarily stops, turns back, and catches him waving at her.
It's a complete interruption of a neurological given.
It is, but I mean, I have to push back here immediately. When I read this, my first instinct is to yell, like, confirmation bias.
Oh, sure. That's the natural reaction.
Because we all have mornings where our brain glitches. I've definitely driven to work and forgotten my coffee, or lingered at the door for an extra 10 seconds thinking I forgot my keys.
We all do that, yeah.
We only assign deep, mystical meaning to those glitches when a tragedy happens hours later. If his father had come home perfectly fine that night, they wouldn't have even registered that extra wave.
Right. That is the standard psychological defense against these kinds of stories. But what's fascinating here is how the author's counterargument hinges on the statistical improbability of a mutual, synchronized glitch.
What do you mean by synchronized?
Well, if the father's brain just hiccuped, he would have waved at her back.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But the text emphasizes that the mother also, inexplicably, felt the urge to turn around at that exact moment. Neither of them consciously decided to do this.
So they were totally unaware of why they were doing it.
Exactly. The father didn't logically know he was saying a final goodbye, and the mother didn't know why she needed to stop on those scares. The text argues this isn't confirmation bias at all. It's a simultaneous somatic marker.
A somatic marker.
Yeah. An unseen force essentially threw a wrench into their daily routine to force a pause. They were physically acting out a farewell that their conscious minds were entirely unaware of.
So it's basically a highly tuned survival instinct kicking in, like, animals sensing an earthquake before it happens.
Actually, the text argues the exact opposite of that.
Right, really?
Yeah, because a survival instinct is designed to keep you alive, right? It prompts you to run from danger. But the force described by Zhu Feng doesn't help you survive. It actively maneuvers you toward your scheduled end.
Oh, man. So it's an exit protocol, not a survival mechanism.
Precisely. It overrides the daily autopilot to finalize emotional business.
Okay. A lingering look at a market could just be a mutual brain glitch, even if the timing is really strange. But what happens when that glitch escalates?
That's where things get much darker.
Right. What happens when it doesn't just pause your routine, but forces you to physically alter your geography against all logic? Because the essay transitions from these subtle nudges to what I can only really describe as a physical hijack.
Yeah, this is where the mechanisms of the author's theory become much more aggressive. The unseen force shifts from managing a simple goodbye to micromanaging logistics.
And the text gives us two really intense examples set in Zimbabwe. The first involves a minister of an engineering company, and this is back in 1992.
Right, the reservoir story.
Yeah. He's visiting the Kariba Reservoir with his colleagues. It's late in the day, and they have a hotel room booked for the night right there at the reservoir.
So the conscious, rational plan is set.
Exactly. The plan is, we are sleeping here. But as dusk falls, the text says the minister is overcome with this profound, inexplicable restlessness.
It's a massive somatic override. His body is generating a feeling of absolute, intolerable urgency that completely shatters his logical plan.
He demands they cannot stay. He basically forces his three companions to pack up the car and drive back to the capital, Harare, in the dark.
Even though the room is already paid for.
Yes. They try to talk him out of it, pointing out the room is booked and it's late, but he is just absolute about it. But here is the detail that really got me.
The seat swap.
The seat swap. They are driving back, and mid-journey, the minister suddenly demands to stop the car. He's in the back seat, right? And he insists on swapping seats with someone in the front passenger side.
Just completely out of nowhere.
Minutes after he gets into that specific front seat, the car crashes head-on into another vehicle.
And the outcome.
The three other people in the car survive. The minister, sitting in the seat he just aggressively demanded to occupy, is the only one who dies.
It's chilling.
But if there's an unseen force orchestrating this grand schedule, why make him swap seats in a moving car? I mean, why not just have him suffer a fatal heart attack in the comfortable hotel room they already booked?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the framework Zhu Feng is presenting posits a highly complex, interconnected web of fate. The schedule doesn't just dictate the when of your exit, but the how and the where.
So it's a multivariable equation.
Exactly. It likely intersects with the schedules of other people, like, the driver of the oncoming vehicle.
Oh, so everyone's schedules have to line up perfectly.
Yes. The timing has to be absolute.
It's kind of like a computer running a massive forced background update.
That's a really good way to look at it.
Like the conscious mind is still trying to type a document, still trying to sleep in a hotel room, but the operating system starts shutting down applications and forcing a restart.
The conscious mind isn't pulling the strings anymore. The biological root directory is just taken over.
The root directory, yeah. And the minister didn't consciously say, I need to get in the front seat so I can fulfill my fatal destiny.
No, his brain simply rationalized the command from the root directory as an overwhelming urge to move, to just change seats.
And the text shows us this hijack isn't always violent, right? Sometimes the root directory uses nostalgia instead of panic.
Yes, the second Zimbabwe example illustrates that perfectly.
Right. So an elderly man travels from China to visit his son. He's been living there for over a year, completely happy, healthy, and perfectly content.
No signs of illness or anything.
None. Then, out of nowhere, he gets that same intense agitation, but his conscious brain translates it differently. He demands to return to China immediately. He is desperately homesick.
Knows the pattern here. The conscious mind is scrambling to make sense of a biological imperative it cannot read.
So his family scrambles. They get him on a flight back to China. He arrives, sees his children and grandchildren, goes to sleep, and never wakes up.
His brain essentially translated the unseen force's command to prepare for departure as, I miss my hometown.
The mechanism here is just fascinating. The author is suggesting that our conscious desires, like our sudden urges to travel, to move, to alter our plans, might just be post hoc rationalizations.
Completely. The unseen force physically moves you across continents to ensure your coordinates align with the schedule.
And your brain just invents a narrative.
Yeah, like homesickness.
Hmm.
It just invents a reason to explain to itself why you're suddenly acting so erratically.
Okay, but a sudden urge to drive in the dark is one thing. Wanting to fly home is a bit more complex, but still a known human emotion. But the text then introduces an example that is so logistically demanding, so intensely specific, that it completely breaks that rationalization model.
You're referring to the author's own brother.
Yes. Here's where it gets really interesting. Schueffing shares this deeply personal anecdote. His brother, who is described as relatively young and healthy, unexpectedly goes out and has traditional burial clothes made for himself.
Traditional burial clothes.
Right. He brings these garments home, and his wife is understandably horrified. I mean, she asks him why a young, healthy man is commissioning burial clothes, and his response is just in case.
Just in case. It's the ultimate cognitive dissonance.
But I'm struggling to buy that this is an involuntary action in the same vein as swapping a car seat.
Why is that?
Because getting clothes tailored is a multi-day logistical process. You have to go to a shop, pick out fabric, let someone measure your inseam, pay for it, and bring it home. A fleeting subconscious urge doesn't survive a 3-day tailoring process. I mean, how does a subconscious nudge execute a complex multi-step project?
Well, the author includes this specifically because it defies that simple, fleeting urge explanation.
Okay.
According to the text, this level of complex preparation is the absolute ultimate proof of the unseen force's total control. The brother didn't sit down, review his medical records, and logically deduce his impending death.
Right, because if he had conscious awareness, he would have told his wife, I feel incredibly ill, I think I am dying.
Exactly. Instead, he said, just in case.
Just in case.
Precisely. Just in case is the sound of the conscious brain throwing a tarp over a massive logical hole.
Wow, throwing a tarp over it, that's a great image.
The unseen force gave the directive. Execute final preparation protocols. The physical body went through the weeks-long, highly logistical process of fulfilling that protocol.
But to prevent the conscious mind from descending into absolute panic, the root directory kept the user in the dark.
Exactly. The conscious mind just experienced a mild, slightly confusing urge to buy specific clothes, completely divorced from the reality of why.
It's an error message.
Yes.
The brain doesn't know why it's at the tailor's, so it just generates a generic just-in-case label to avoid crashing the system. It really is a terrifying thought.
It is.
That you could be measuring fabric for your own funeral, actively participating in your own exit protocol, while your conscious mind is just humming along, thinking about what's for dinner.
It illustrates the tragic confusion of the ordinary human experience, at least according to this text. We are deeply tethered to this unseen schedule, yet we are structurally designed to misunderstand it.
We feel the somatic markers.
Yeah, the restlessness, the lingering sadness, the bizarre urges, but we misinterpret the data every single time.
Which leads us perfectly into the final section of the essay, because the author doesn't just leave us in the state of blind panic. What happens if you strip away that cognitive dissonance? What if the conscious mind actually is aware?
This raises an important question because the narrative shifts here. It moves from individuals who are reacting to glitches to someone who supposedly possesses system-level access.
Right. The text brings in the Buddhist tradition, specifically pointing to the sixth patriarch, Huining. Unlike Wang Jiwen's parents, or the frantic minister in the car, or the brother awkwardly explaining away his burial clothes, Huining wasn't rationalizing a glitch.
No, he had complete conscious clarity. He wasn't relying on a somatic marker. He was reading the source code.
Yeah, he gathered his disciples and told them, as a matter of logistical fact, I will leave this world in August.
He didn't say he had a bad feeling.
Right, he didn't suddenly demand to move to a different monastery. He just stated the schedule. He even managed the transition, telling his disciples to ask all their remaining questions to clear up any doubts before he left.
It's a complete absence of the panic we saw in the Zimbabwe examples.
And then, on the evening of August 3rd, the text says he sat upright until midnight. He didn't go to sleep hoping to wake up. He sat in active anticipation, announced, I'm leaving now, and peacefully passed away. The difference is staggering.
The author is drawing a very deliberate contrast here. On one side, you have the ordinary person, a user who is being forcibly shut down, frantic and confused by the physical compulsions overriding their logic.
And on the other side,
you have the enlightened master, a system admin who can read the code, see the scheduled shutdown, and calmly log off. Both are subject to the same inescapable schedule of death, but the level of conscious awareness radically alters the experience.
And that contrast is the setup for the essay's ultimate destination, the pitch.
Yeah, the text utilizes these mysteries to present a choice and a specific pathway.
And just to be clear for you listening, we are simply reporting the framework presented in the text here. After laying out this case for a scheduled, micromanaged existence, Zhu Feng asks the reader directly, do you understand the principles behind these phenomena? Do you still doubt Lifechanyuan?
And we should probably define that.
Right.
Lifechanyuan is presented in this context as a spiritual and philosophical movement, one that claims to have mapped out these hidden mechanics of life, death, and the universe.
So the text promises that if you want to stop being the confused user getting forcibly restarted, if you want to uncover the profound mysteries behind these unseen forces and somatic markers, you should follow the principles of Lifechanyuan step by step.
And it concludes by stating that if you aren't interested in uncovering these mysteries, the choice to remain in the dark is entirely yours.
It's a highly effective rhetorical structure, honestly. It first dismantles your belief in your own agency by showing how your body betrays your logic before death.
Right, and once you are sufficiently unnerved by the idea that you are a pawn to an unseen schedule, it offers a pathway to system-level clarity.
So what does this all mean? Synthesizing all of this, from a disrupted Tuesday morning routine at a market to a fatal urge to swap car seats, to a monk calling his own shot months in advance, what is the core insight we take away from this deep dive?
Well, beyond the author's specific philosophical pitch, the text serves as a fascinating psychological hypothesis about the illusion of agency. It challenges us to look at the anomalies in human behavior.
The lingering look that lasts a fraction too long.
Yes, or the sudden, violent restlessness that forces a change of geography. The bizarre, multi-day logistical preparations that totally bypass logical reasoning.
The tailor visits.
Exactly. The author argues that these aren't random firing errors in the brain. They are the visible leakage of a biological, scheduled exit protocol.
It really forces you to view a weird quirk in someone's day not as a funny anecdote, but as a potential systemic indicator.
It does. It suggests our physical bodies are much more tethered to the underlying mechanics of mortality than our conscious minds are equipped to handle.
I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over based on this framework, a thought that takes Zhu Feng's theory and applies it to right now.
Oh, where are you taking this?
Well, the author claims that our most erratic, out-of-character behaviors right before we die are actually heavily scripted by an unseen force, that the sudden breaks in our routine are the moments the schedule is taking absolute control.
Right.
But if that's true, does that imply that our normal daily routines are also just a script?
The broader implication of determinism.
Exactly. If an unseen force is micromanaging our exact physical coordinates and seating arrangements on the day we exit, is it also micromanaging our Tuesday morning commute? Is it orchestrating the city we decided to move to or the person we suddenly felt the urge to talk to in a coffee shop?
That's a big question.
If our strangest, most inexplicable behaviors are dictated by a schedule we can't read, are we ever truly the ones in the driver's seat? Or is our feeling of free will just the most convincing post hoc rationalization our brain has ever invented to keep us from realizing we are just executing a program?
Well, if the exit is scheduled, it stands to reason the entire itinerary is as well. That is a deeply ontologically disruptive thought to carry with you.
Let that one simmer the next time you get a sudden urge to change your plans. Thank you so much for taking this deep dive with us today. Keep questioning the routine, keep watching for the anomalies, and we'll catch you next time.